everyone, welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And my name is Catherine. And today, Marco, we're talking about something that I know you're a big fan of.
I am. We're talking about computer games, video games.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! So yeah, we're going to be looking at some vocabulary and phrases related to computer games and video games. And this is actually a request from one of our users.
Awesome. So before we get started, we do have the name of the game that we're going to look at. So let's listen to that in today's vocabulary preview.
Vocabulary preview.
All right, so the game that we're going to preview today is called Counter-Strike.
Okay, so first you have a strike or an attack,
Right.
and then you have a counter-strike.
So that's opposite attack or something like that, right?
So it's a reaction to the first thing that happens. So
Right.
you hit me, and my counter-strike is I hit you back.
And this game is actually very, very popular all over the world because many players are able to compete at the same time. So it's a shooting game. You shoot each other. You are the terrorists, and then the other team is like the police or the army or whatever.
Wow, sounds really exciting. Well, we're going to learn more about the specific vocab that goes with computer games and video games in a minute. But first, let's take a listen to our dialogue.
Terrorists win.
Mark, where have you been? I've been calling you all morning.
I've been playing computer games.
What? So you blew me off yesterday and today over a stupid video game. What game is so important that you have no time for me anymore? What are you playing?
It's called Counter-Strike. It's a first-person shooter game. It's awesome! It's a multiplayer game where you can go online and compete against players from all over the world.
You've been wasting your time on this? I can't believe it. It doesn't even look fun or challenging.
My laptop is on my bed. If you think it's so easy, then get online and try to beat me.
Fine.
Damn it! How are you killing me with a single shot? It's not fair! I don't want to play anymore. Let's go get something to eat.
Can you bring me something? I'm totally hooked on this game.
All right, we're back. So there was some really interesting vocab here. And so let's look at it now in language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
Okay, so what kind of a game was this, Marco?
All right, this game was a FPS, or also in the dialogue we heard a first-person shooter game.
So our users might have heard this phrase first person before because it's a grammar term in many ways.
Right.
We talk about I do this, I can sing. That's the first person. But when we're talking about games, first person shooter means that what you do, you're doing as if you were the character in the game.
Right, so even the way that you're looking at the game, it seems like you're looking through the eyes of the character.
Okay, so you don't see the body, you are the body
You
of
are
the
the
person.
body, exactly.
So first person shooter. So shooter obviously means that this is a shooting game. What you do is you pull the trigger and shoot people.
Exactly. And as we mentioned, a lot of players are able to compete against each other, so it's called a multiplayer game.
Okay, so multi is a prefix. It goes at the beginning of a word. In English, that means many.
Many.
So you could hear multicolored or multi-ethnic.
Right.
And the meaning of this is that there are many different colors or many different ethnicities, or in this case, multiplayer, many different players at the same time.
Exactly. So in this game, many players can play, whether it's in a local area network or online over the internet.
Cool. So you actually have to have the internet, right, when you're doing this because you're using many different computers, so they have to be connected to each other.
Right. So, and that's our next word. You go online in order to play.
Okay, so online you've heard before. Online means on the internet, but in this case, the action of using the internet is called going online. So I want to go online to read my email.
Right. Or I can't go online. I don't have a connection.
My mom won't let me go online. I'm in trouble.
All right. So this is the way that you use it. You go online. In order to use the internet, you go online.
Very interesting. Well, the last word we've got here in language takeaway is a very important one when we talk about video games, because many people are in this situation. They're hooked on video games.
Right. So if you are hooked on a video game, or you are hooked on anything, it means you're kind of addicted, or you're very, very interested in something.
Exactly. So I'm hooked on the TV show True Blood. I
Right.
love to watch it, and every day I run home so I can watch it. But is there a game that you're hooked on, Marco?
Currently, I am hooked on a game called Guitar Hero Metallica.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, it's really fun.
When I borrowed your PS3, I was hooked on Bad Company.
They're great games. It's very easy to get hooked on video games.
Too easy.
All right, so that's all the words we have for language takeaway. Why don't we listen to our dialogue again, and we'll be back in a bit.
Mark, where have you been? I've been calling you all morning.
I've been playing computer games.
What? So you blew me off yesterday and today over a stupid video game. What game is so important that you have no time for me anymore? What are you playing?
It's called Counter-Strike. It's a first-person shooter game. It's awesome. It's a multiplayer game where you can go online and compete against players from all over the world.
You've been wasting your time on this? I can't believe it. It doesn't even look fun or challenging.
My laptop is on my bed. If you think it's so easy, then get online and try to beat me.
Fine.
Damn it! How are you killing me with a single shot? It's not fair. I don't want to play anymore. Let's go get something to eat.
Can you bring me something? I'm totally hooked on this game.
All right, we're back, and we have a couple of phrases that we want to look at, specifically 2 phrases. So let's look at those now in Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
So what's the deal? You blew me off yesterday and now you're not even going to say sorry?
All right, so blew me off. What do you mean when you say you blew me off yesterday?
Okay, so let's take a look at the infinitive version of this phrase. So to blow someone off. And they all go together. It's a fixed phrase. And this means to have an appointment with someone, but to not go.
All right.
So we had a date planned, but he blew me off.
Okay.
What a jerk.
So
he didn't go.
But
I went.
Did he tell you that he wasn't going to go?
No.
Okay.
No. So it's a surprise. It's like you expect someone to come meet you or do something with you, but they don't say anything and they don't go.
So there's another word very similar to this it's to stand someone up, right?
Exactly. So he stood me up.
All
He
right.
didn't come. He blew me off.
Okay. Very good. All right. And what's our next phrase?
To waste your time.
All right. So the girlfriend in this case was like, you're wasting your time on these video games.
That means you're not getting anything out of this. You're not benefiting. It means that you could spend your time doing other things.
Okay. So if you're wasting your time on video games, you're not being productive.
Exactly.
You're not learning anything.
So your mother might say to you when you're a kid, don't waste your time on games. You should be studying.
Okay. Or he wastes a lot of time watching TV.
That's a common problem.
All right. So let's listen to this dialogue again real fast, and we'll be back in a bit.
Hi there, and welcome to the English Podcast Zone, where learning English feels just like real life. I'm glad you're here. Today, we're diving into a topic that millions of people are passionate about, and maybe you are too: video games. Whether you play every day or just occasionally, video games have become a huge part of modern life, and they're packed with useful language, cultural references, and vocabulary that you'll hear everywhere, from YouTube videos to casual conversations with friends. So let's get right into it. When we talk about video games in English, there are some key phrases and expressions that come up all the time. For example, the term first-person shooter, often shortened to FPS. It's a type of game where you play from the point of view of the character, seeing through their eyes. You don't watch the character on the screen. You are the character. Games like Call of Duty or Counter-Strike are classic examples. You aim, shoot, and move as if you're inside the game. Now, let's break that phrase down a bit. First person refers to the grammatical point of view, I, me, my. So, in a game, first person means you're experiencing the action directly. Shooter is just what it sounds like, a game where shooting is the main activity. So put together, a first-person shooter is a game where you're doing the shooting from your own perspective, not watching someone else do it. Another term you'll hear is multiplayer. This one's easy to understand. Multi means many, and player is, of course, someone who plays. So multiplayer means more than one person playing, often people from all over the world, connected through the internet. And here's a great phrase to add to your vocabulary. Go online. You don't just open the internet. You go online. For example, I went online to play with my friends last night, or I can't go online right now, my connection is down. These expressions, first-person shooter, multiplayer, go online, are just the beginning. But here's what's really cool. When you start using English in this way, through topics you care about like gaming, it sticks in your memory. You're not just memorizing words, you're living the language. Let's take one more word that's common in gaming talk. Hooked. If you're hooked on a game, it means you're really into it, you can't stop playing. It's like being addicted, but it can be used in a light, playful way too. You can say, I got totally hooked on that new racing game. Or, my brother is hooked on Fortnite. He plays every single day. So, as we explore this topic, keep an ear out for how these words are used. And think about how you can use them when you talk about your hobbies or interests. Because the more you connect English to your real life, the faster and more naturally you'll improve. Video games aren't just entertainment anymore. They're a global culture. And that means the language around gaming is full of slang, expressions, and casual phrases that real native speakers use all the time. Today, let's explore some of those, especially phrases that gamers use when they talk about competition, frustration, and excitement. One phrase that comes up a lot is beat someone. In regular English, to beat someone can mean to win against them in any kind of competition. In gaming, it's everywhere. You'll hear things like, I finally beat that level, or he beat me 5 times in a row. If you're in a competitive match, your goal is to beat the other players. Now, sometimes people say crush instead of beat, and that means to beat someone very badly. For example, we crushed them in that last round. It's a fun way to say you didn't just win, you destroyed them. Another really common phrase is rage quit. This one's funny and very real. Imagine you're playing an intense game and things aren't going your way. Maybe you're losing badly, or your teammates are terrible. Suddenly, you slam your controller down, turn off the game, and walk away. That's a rage quit, quitting because you're so angry. You might hear someone say, he rage quit after losing 3 times, or don't rage quit. It's just a game. And speaking of getting emotional, another term you'll hear a lot is salty. If someone is salty, it means they're bitter or upset, usually because they lost. It's used playfully, like, he got so salty after I beat him, or, why are you so salty? It's just a game. Let's shift gears a bit and talk about the phrase level up. In video games, this means to gain experience and move to a higher level. But here's the cool part, it's also used in real-life English. People say things like, I'm trying to level up my career, or, you've got to level up your skills if you want that promotion. It's a perfect example of how gaming vocabulary is becoming mainstream English. Now here's a phrase that's both literal and metaphorical, game over. Of course, in games it means you lost or the game has ended. But in conversation, people might say game over to describe a situation that's finished, or when someone has no chance left. For example, if we miss this deadline, it's game over for the project, or he missed the penalty, game over. So many of these phrases come from the gaming world, but are now used by English speakers everywhere, in all kinds of conversations. That's why learning this kind of vocabulary isn't just useful, it's powerful. It helps you sound more fluent, more natural, and more connected to the way people actually speak. Let's take a deeper look at how video games can help you build real-world English skills, especially when it comes to learning how to describe actions, strategies, and even emotions. When you're gaming, you're not just pressing buttons, you're communicating. Whether you're giving instructions, reacting to fast-paced situations, or expressing surprise or frustration, you're using language in dynamic ways. Take the phrase spawn point, for example. In many games, especially first-person shooters, a spawn point is the place where your character appears when the game begins or after they've been eliminated. But here's the language learning moment. The verb to spawn originally comes from biology, where it means to produce or bring into existence. In gaming, it means your character spawns into the game, it comes into being. You might say, I spawned too close to the enemy, or wait for me to spawn before you go in. Another word that's super useful is respawn. That's what happens when your character comes back after getting taken out. It's a way of saying return to the game, and it's also used casually to talk about bouncing back after failure. You might hear a joke like, time to respawn after that presentation. I totally crashed. Next up, lag. If you've ever played online, you know the pain of lag. This word refers to a delay between what you do and what you see on the screen. It comes from the verb to lag, which means to fall behind or be slow. In everyday English, you can say things like, I'm lagging behind on my homework, or my computer is lagging. It's running really slow today. It's a perfect example of how a gaming term is completely transferable to daily life. Here's another gem, camping. In gaming, to camp means to stay in one spot, usually a strategic one, so you can surprise or ambush other players. Some people love it, others hate it. In conversation, you might hear a gamer say, he just camps near the spawn point and waits for people. It's tactical, but not always appreciated. Let's move into a useful phrase that English learners can benefit from, get the hang of it. This is something you might hear when someone is new to a game or still learning how to play. Don't worry, you'll get the hang of it, means you'll learn how to do it with practice. You can also say, it took me a while, but I finally got the hang of this game, or she got the hang of using that software really fast. It's a natural, friendly expression that you can use far beyond gaming. Now, what about when you feel really confident and things are going your way in a game? You might say you're on fire. This doesn't mean you're literally burning. It's an idiomatic way of saying you're doing extremely well. Like, I won 5 rounds in a row. I'm on fire today. And in regular conversation, you might hear, that presentation was amazing. You were on fire. You see, gaming doesn't just entertain. It gives you a direct path into everyday English. It helps you learn how people really speak, with idioms, phrasal verbs, and slang that textbooks often leave out. And by understanding the context in which these words are used, you're not just memorizing, you're building fluency. One of the most interesting things about gaming is how it naturally teaches you to give and follow instructions in English, something that's essential in both games and real life. Whether you're playing with teammates online or explaining a game to a friend, you're constantly using command forms, sequencing words, and problem-solving language. Let's start with some basic commands you'll hear all the time in online multiplayer games. Cover me, take the lead, watch your back, hold the line, and fall back. These short, punchy phrases are perfect examples of how English can be direct and action-oriented. Take cover me. You're telling someone to protect you while you move or reload. In real life, you might hear something similar in team environments, like, can you cover for me at work tomorrow? It's not about shooting, it just means taking someone's place or supporting them. Then there's take the lead, which means go first or take charge. In games, it might be used to say, you take the lead, I'll follow. In daily life, you might hear it in meetings. Why don't you take the lead on this project? Again, the crossover between gaming English and everyday English is super useful. Now, watch your back is a way of saying be careful, or someone might sneak up on you. It's very common in English, and people use it in both serious and casual ways. For example, that guy's not trustworthy, watch your back. Hold the line means to defend your position. Don't let the enemy through. And outside of games, it can mean staying strong during difficult times. A manager might say, we've had some budget cuts, but we need to hold the line on quality. Pretty cool how that works, right? Next up, let's talk about sequencing, explaining the order in which things happen. When gamers talk strategy, they often use phrases like first, then after that, finally. This is perfect practice for giving instructions in English. For example, first, you grab the key. Then, you open the gate. After that, clear the enemies. Finally, reach the checkpoint. These same linking words are essential for English learners when giving directions, writing emails, or describing a process. It's the same structure whether you're explaining how to beat a level or how to cook a recipe. So games offer a natural way to practice these important connectors. Let's also look at some emotional language you might hear in gaming. For instance, when something unexpected happens, you might hear, no way, you've got to be kidding me, or that was insane. These are real expressions people use every day, not just in games. For example, if your friend tells you they got free tickets to a concert, you might say, no way, that's amazing. And when things don't go your way, you'll hear phrases like, I can't believe this, what just happened, or this is ridiculous. These expressions help you sound more natural, especially when reacting to surprises or problems. The bottom line is this: gaming helps you practice the rhythm and style of natural English. You start to think in English, respond quickly, and use phrases that real people use in real situations. You're not just learning vocabulary, you're training your instincts. One of the most underrated benefits of video games for English learners is the way they expose you to storytelling. Many popular games today are built around complex narratives, emotional dialogue, and rich characters, and all of that offers incredible opportunities to learn real, expressive English in context. Let's begin with one of the most powerful elements of storytelling: character development. In games, just like in movies or novels, characters change, grow, and face challenges. You'll often hear descriptions like, "He's a lone wolf," meaning someone who prefers to act alone. Or, "She's a fearless leader," meaning she takes charge and isn't afraid of risk. These descriptions are great models for how to describe people in English, both in games and in real life. Another storytelling term that shows up often is plot twist. This is when something unexpected happens in the story. You might be playing a game and suddenly realize that the villain is actually the hero's father. That's a classic plot twist. In everyday English, people also use this term to describe surprises. For example, "She was late to work again. Plot twist, her car broke down." It's a fun, casual way to express surprise. Let's also talk about quests and missions. These are common in adventure or role-playing games. A quest is like a journey with a goal, maybe to rescue someone or find a special item. You complete smaller tasks along the way, and when you finish, you get a reward. In conversation, people sometimes use these words playfully. For instance, "I'm on a mission to find the best coffee in the city," or "My weekend quest is to clean out my closet." The vocabulary of quests includes words like objectives, challenges, rewards, and obstacles, all useful when describing goals in life. You can say, "My objective is to pass the TOEFL," or "I'm facing a big challenge at work this week." This is the kind of vocabulary that shows up in exams, interviews, and serious conversations. And don't forget the emotional tone that good games teach you. When characters express doubt, excitement, frustration, or hope, they often use powerful emotional language. For example, "I'm not sure I can do this. This is our only chance. We've come too far to turn back now," or "Let's finish what we started." These phrases are excellent for practicing tone, rhythm, and emotion in English. Here's a small grammar tip, too. When narrating game events, you often switch between present and past tense. For example, "I enter the cave. Suddenly, a dragon appears. I try to fight it, but I wasn't strong enough." Switching tenses like this is very common in storytelling. English speakers do it naturally when they describe events with excitement or drama. Practicing this through game narration can sharpen your fluency and timing. So next time you're playing a story-driven game, pay attention to the dialogue, the vocabulary, and the emotional rhythm. Pause and repeat some lines out loud. Try to imitate the way characters speak. This kind of practice doesn't just teach you English, it helps you feel the language. Let's keep going and look at how gaming culture itself shapes the way English is used in modern conversations. Gaming culture isn't just about playing, it's a massive, global community with its own unique language, humor, and way of interacting. And if you're learning English, understanding gaming culture gives you access to one of the most active and creative spaces in modern English communication. Let's start with gamer tags and usernames. These are the unique names people choose for themselves in online games. Often, they include wordplay, numbers, or funny references. You might see a player named No Scope King, Shadowwalker88, or Lagmaster. These names often say something about the person's personality or gaming style. Even though this seems simple, choosing or reading usernames helps you understand how English is used creatively, especially with rhyming, slang, and abbreviations. Speaking of slang, gaming has created a ton of its own. One famous example is noob, sometimes spelled N00B, which means a new or inexperienced player. It's short for newbie. But be careful. This word can be friendly or insulting depending on how it's used. You might say, I'm still a noob at this game, to show humility. But someone saying, get out of here, noob, is clearly being rude. Then there's GG, short for good game. It's usually typed in the chat after a match ends, especially in multiplayer games. Saying GG is a sign of respect, even if you lost. You might also hear GGWP, which means good game, well played. These small phrases are great examples of how politeness and sportsmanship work in gaming English. Let's move to trash talk, which is when players use humor, sarcasm, or mild insults during gameplay to try and throw off their opponents. It's part of the culture, especially in competitive games, but it should always be kept lighthearted. Some phrases include, "You call that a strategy?" or "I've seen better moves from my grandma." It's playful and often meant more as fun banter than real offense. Still, knowing the difference between friendly teasing and being disrespectful is key in both English and gaming culture. Another term you'll hear all the time is grind. In gaming, to grind means to repeat the same task over and over to gain experience or unlock rewards. For example, I had to grind for hours to level up. And in real life, this word has crossed over into everyday English. People say things like, "I'm on the job grind," or "back to the grind," meaning they're doing hard or repetitive work. Let's talk about streaming too. A huge part of gaming culture now involves watching other people play on platforms like Twitch or YouTube. Gamers often narrate their gameplay in English, using expressions like "let's go," "clutch move," "that was insane," or "we're not giving up yet." These are packed with emotion and natural rhythm.